ask you these questions. They're called constructed response questions. We use the R.A.C.E.S strategy to help us answer the question so that we can get the maximum amount of points. If you use this strategy, I guarantee you, you will get the maximum amount of points all the time. So today, I'm going to teach you just the R part. So here's a little card that says R.A.C.E.S. This is the R. R stands for restate the question. Okay, that's what we're gonna learn how to do today. And then I'm gonna come back and show you how to do the other ones throughout the week, okay? So today we're just gonna focus on the R. How many of you guys are familiar with the story Little Red Riding Hood? All right, so this is what I wanna do. I'm gonna see if you guys can tell the story off memory without me reading it to you. So I'm gonna start off, and if you wanna pick it up, raise your hand so that you can pick up the story where I left off. Once upon a time, there was a little girl. She was about 8 years old. She was traveling through the woods on her way to visit her grandma. Who wants to go next? What happened?
On her way going to her grandma's house, she saw a big bad wolf.
She saw a big bad wolf, and then what happened?
The big bad wolf.
Who's next?
Then the big wolf wanted the food.
He wanted the food from where? Where was he trying to get the food from? From her what? What did she have?
Basket.
Her picnic basket. What did she do?
She's gonna give the food to her grandma.
She's gonna give the food to her grandma. Okay, so this question that we're gonna answer today has to do with Little Red Riding Hood. Who can help me pass these out? I'll just put a couple at your desk. Pass it down to your table. To your table. Take one, pass it down. And I'm gonna show mine here. Do we need more?
Put this away.
Yeah, too much. One extra one.
Pass it to the next table. Okay, so what I want you to do, guys, it's double-sided. Turn it to the side where it says restating the question.
Yep.
And you see the question already?
Yeah.
Okay, everybody have paper? You ready? Yeah. Okay, turn it to the side where you see the question, because it's double-sided. One side it has the question on it, and the other side is blank. The blank side is going to be for when you practice. So make sure you have the on the side where you see the question. Turn your paper to the side where you see the question. We're gonna do this together, but I'm gonna explain it while we do it, okay? So restating the question. So all of our questions normally have what? What do we have in a question? How do you know that something is a question? Raise your hand, thank you.
When it has a question mark at the end?
It has a question mark at the end. Are there any other clues that let us know that something is a question? Besides a question mark? How about what type of words come at the beginning?
Oh, how?
How? Is there any other words that are clues? Why? What else is a clue to a question? Raise your hand. When? What? Yes, attendance.
When did it happen?
When, another when. So when, did could be a question word. How, what, why. So let's look at the prompt on restating this question sheet. What do we have? We said, how did Little Red Riding Hood know the character in the bed was not her grandmother? What are some clues in that statement to let us know that that's a question?
Because the wolf is like.
No, we're not answering the question. Then listen to what I'm asking you. How do you know that that's a question? How do you know that that's a question? Yes.
Because it has a question mark in the end.
It does have a question mark at the end. What else does it have to let us know?
It has how at the start.
It has how, so we know that this is a question. So what we wanna do when we get ready to answer a question, the first thing that we want to do is to restate it. Restating it means we're gonna make it into a statement. So you know you have a question sentence, you have a statement sentence, you have sentences that show excitement, right? There are like 4 basic types of sentences that we deal with throughout our lives. So we want to change this into a statement or a telling sentence so that we can begin to answer the question. The first thing that you want to do that is to identify what the verb is. What is a verb? Who knows what a verb is? Who remembers? Not a bird, a verb. Like
It's like names.
like names? No, that's a noun. That's the opposite. You're close. But what's a verb?
Action and
There you go. The action. And what else?
Something that's moving.
It's something that's moving.
Place.
That's an action. Place is a noun. Any other reason?
thing.
That's a noun. Person, place, or thing is a noun. But good try, Jason. So a verb is something that we do or a state of being. Like you can love somebody, but you don't actually show that, right? It's a feeling, right? Right? So there's 2 kinds of verbs. You have your state of being verbs and you have your action verbs. So when we have our question, we want to make sure we point out the verbs first. How did Little Red Riding Hood know the character in the bed was not her grandmother? Who knows what the verb is in that sentence? In that question? Yes, ma'am. Not because. Something that she did. What's a word that will give us a clue to let us know that something that she did?
No.
What did she do? In that question? We're only focusing on this question. Nobody, who can identify what the verb is? In this question, we're only looking at what's up there. Does anybody know?
No.
No. Can you know something?
Yes.
Can you know something? Yes, you can know something. That's a state of being. So the first thing you want to do when you're getting ready to restate the question, you want to identify the verb. So here, right here, it says, what are the verbs in the prompt? The verb in this prompt is no. Everybody on your paper, I want you to write the word no. So everybody has that? You wrote the word no? That's the first thing we do when we restate the question. The next thing you want to do is underline the words that we're going to use when we restate the question. What is something that we wouldn't use? If we're turning a question into a statement, what do we need? What don't we need anymore? We're going to take the question and we're going to turn it into a telling sentence. Remember you guys told me that in a question, you know you have a question mark and you have questioning words like when, where, how, did, why. If we're changing that into a statement, do we need those words anymore?
No.
No, we don't need those words anymore. So do me a favor, cross out how, because we don't need that anymore when we restate the question. We're going to use all these words in this question to turn it into a telling sentence. We don't need how. What's in a telling sentence? What's at the end? What punctuation mark do we use at the end of a telling sentence?
Question.
At a telling or asking? Asking, we use a question. What do we use in a telling sentence? A period. Do I have a period in here?
No.
No. What do I have that I don't need anymore? A question mark. So what are we going to do with that? We're going to cross it out. We don't want it. Take it out. We don't want that anymore. Because remember, we're changing our question into a statement. Because we're going to, in the end up answering a question. So we want to turn our question into a statement. So we don't need the question word, and we don't need the question mark. what we do need is to know what words are we going to use to answer the question. We're restating the question, right? So, would we put Little Red Riding Hood in our telling sentence when we're answering a question?
No.
We wouldn't? Don't we wanna know that though? We wanna know about her, right? So underline that, Little Red Riding Hood. If we're answering the question that the character in the bed was not her grandmother, will we need to restate that too?
Yes.
We would need to restate that too. We wanna know. So underline that one too, because we're gonna reuse those words when we do our statement. So we're restating. Re means again, right? When we do something again, so we're gonna take that question and we're gonna change it into a statement, into a telling sentence. Another thing that we need to do that's very, very important, you have to take your verb and make it a past tense verb, that it happened already, because you're answering a question, right? So you're not gonna answer the question in the present tense, you're gonna answer the question in the past tense. So what did we say our verb was? What's the verb?
No.
No. What is that in past tense?
New.
You knew it, right? So let's cross that out. And let's write the word knew. Because when you restate the questions, you're gonna answer, how did Little Red Riding Hood know that that wasn't her grandmother? Well, she knew, and then we'll go on. Ms. Carter, can I have two more for the student section? All right. So, we've identified the question that we don't need anymore. We changed the verb to a past tense, right? And we crossed out that question mark because we're not gonna use that anymore. We know that the verb in the prompt is no. So for number 2, let's do the same thing we did here and underline the words that we need to use in order to restate the question. So we're gonna underline Little Red Riding Hood. And remember, no is now new. Okay, so you know when we answer a question, what do we always need after we answer the question? We have to show some type of evidence, right? We have to be able to say why we answered the question that way. So that comes to our next part of the lesson. You need to use a transition word. Transition word helps us go from one space to another space. So we're answering the question. Little Red Riding Hood knew the character in the bed was not her grandmother. Which transition word do you think we could use? Because, for example, or I noticed. Which transition word flows with that?
I noticed.
So let's listen. Let's say that and see if that works. Little Red Riding Hood knew the character in the bed was not her grandmother. I noticed. No, that doesn't sound right, right? What do you think? Because, let's say, let's read it like that. Little Red Riding Hood knew the character in the bed was not her grandmother because, does that flow?
Yes.
Yes. Do you think because is the correct transition word?
Yes.
Yes, so let's circle because. Because now you're getting to the part to where you could finally try to answer the question. So you're gonna answer the question, but we're not gonna answer the question because we're only practicing restating the question right now. All right, you guys ready to rewrite it? So we said we don't need how, we don't need did, because that's part of the question too. So in this line right here where it says restate the question, let's rewrite it. remember we're taking a question and we're gonna turn it into a telling sentence, right? Little Red Riding Hood
Little red.
knew, and remember we're changing the verb into a past tense. The character in the bed was not her grandmother. And what are we gonna add to this? The transition word. Because.